right, in boxing news, Errol Spence sues Derrick James in answer to his lawsuit against Errol Spence. So Errol Spence is countersuing Derrick James for, it looks like, $250,000. Errol Spence lawsuit claimed that he does not owe Derrick James 10% of his purse. It said that beforehand, Derrick James was happy with what he was being paid and had no complaints, and that Derrick James didn't ask for 10% until the Terrence Crawford fight. Now, in Derrick James' lawsuit, Derrick James presents a text message that Errol Spence sent him confirming that he would pay him the rest of the money. So what we found out is there was no contract between these two, just an oral agreement. Now, I don't know how oral agreements hold up in the state of Texas. Some places, oral agreements stand up, and in other instances, a text message can stand for some sort of contract or agreement. I don't know how that works in the state of Texas, but it seems to me that these guys would be wasting their time suing each other. And I think Errol Spence bread is longer, so he might be in for the fight more than Derrick James. So he's going to have to contemplate whether he really thinks that is worth it. Now, with that being said, they also talk about how Al Heyman advised Errol Spence that he paid him enough. But Derrick James is saying that he agreed to it, and I have the text message to show it. And Errol Spence is simply saying, I don't owe you that because we don't have a contract for that. And even though you may present a text message, that doesn't hold up in court. So that's what these guys are going back and forth about. That is interesting. These guys are going to have to figure out whether they want to waste money fighting each other in court. I would like to think that these guys could come to some kind of agreement. But in Errol Spence's lawsuit, he goes on to say he doesn't believe he really owes Derrick James anything, because he said as his fame and popularity grew, so did Derrick James. So in a nutshell, they're talking about basically what I said when I talked about Derrick James' lawsuit, how much Derrick James benefited from Errol Spence elevating in the sport of boxing. So therefore, he brought his tax brackets, plateau, whatever you want to call it, he brought it to a new level. So basically, in a nutshell, what they're saying is because of Errol Spence, Derrick James is making more money. They also go to talk about a bonus, but I don't understand how you could expect to get a bonus when he didn't perform that well. Whether it was Derrick James' fault or whether it was Errol Spence's fault for not training or whatever and whatnot, if it was based off of oral agreement, you really don't have anything there. Like I said, I don't know how that works in Texas or nothing like that. I just don't know. But on the other end, Errol Spence's character is on display. And basically, if you are confirming via text that you do owe him the rest of that money, it seems that at some point in time, just like I spoke in Derrick James's video, he didn't think Derrick James was worth paying. So therefore, he thought the service that Derrick James provided was insufficient. And therefore, the $350,000 that he gave him is more than enough, as advised to Al Heyman. I can't really blame him for feeling that way because, Derrick James really didn't do much. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Derrick James didn't have the tools to go up against nobody like Terrence Crawford or Bo Mack, So, truthfully, that's on you. That's the coach you chose. That's the person you chose to go into this fight with. You didn't add anybody to the camp. You didn't do nothing new. You didn't do anything to increase your chances on the outcome. If anything, I would say he probably didn't take the fight serious enough. Either way, these guys work as a team. So you guys win as a team, you lose as a team, and if one person didn't hold up their end of the bargain, and if that's how they feel, that's how they feel. Me personally, like I said, I don't think it's worth it. I think Derrick James should let it go. Now, is that a slight on Errol Spence's character? Of course. But if you wasn't asking for 10% prior to the Terrence Crawford fight, which would probably be one of your worst performances as a coach, then I don't get what you barking up the tree for. Because it looks like you're just trying to capitalize off his good fortune or him being able to make a lot of money, which he had to go outside the perimeter of Al Heyman to get done. He had to sign up with a whole new promotional company to get done. So I don't know how that works, but if he's countersuing you for the same amount that he just paid you for, then to me, you should let it go. Just keep performing well. You got Trainer of the Year basically through Errol Spence. You got put on the map basically through Errol Spence. Errol Spence brought a lot of people to your training camp. That cannot be denied. So if you ask me, I've already gained what I needed to gain from working with him, as he has me. You know, I could part from here because my skill doesn't diminish just because I'm no longer working with Errol Spence. I can still produce another Errol Spence and produce another champion or produce another unified champion. And my name is bigger now because it was attached to him. And some people can say same and vice versa. Well, where would Errol Spence be without Derrick James? True enough. That's why I think these guys should just cut their losses or walk away. If they can't come together and speak to each other. Now, one of the things that I found interesting about Derrick James and Errol Spence is Derrick James, while first working with Errol Spence, did not think Errol Spence liked him because Errol Spence wouldn't talk to him. I forgot what interview that was, but he speaks about this and how he thought that Errol Spence didn't like him at all because he wasn't, talking to him. And as a matter of fact, Errol Spence's father paid Errol Spence to work with Derrick James. He originally didn't want to. So maybe they was never on that level as is. Now, some people have brought up the fact that before the fight, Errol Spence was talking about Derrick James is the best trainer in boxing. If that is true, and if you believed he was the best trainer in boxing, then I don't see a problem with honoring what you said that you were going to give him. It can go a lot of ways, but I still think these guys should be able to figure something out amongst each other. I'm always against taking something to court and having people benefit off two individuals who wasn't there when y'all got together and who doesn't care about y'all relationship and is not going to be there when it's over, but they will be there to profit off you guys' problems between each other. I'm always against dragging the court in there because I still like to believe that men can get stuff done beyond a courtroom, or at least we should try to. And even if it's not that, you can either meet him halfway or some of the way. But to do all of what you've done together and only to end up in court fighting each other over money, it's a bad look. I think both has gained. What Errol Spence earned is what he earned. If you wasn't worried about what you was getting paid prior to the Terrence Crawford fight, it just looked like you tried to capitalize on an opportunity because you knew how much he was getting paid. And even as a trainer, you was talking about money that had nothing to do with you, especially when he was talking about Bomac and stuff like that and talking about the prices changed and stuff like that. That's not his department. So Derrick James may just be a little money hungry and Errol Spence may just be a little cheap. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.